It can happen to anybody. You're minding your own business, enjoying a warm spring day on the 1st of May, and then whack! You get hit with the tech news, blindsided out of nowhere, with stories about RTX 40 series GPUs, world record overclocking, and fantastical new data storage technologies whizzing by so fast you can barely comprehend it. But just as the flow of information overwhelms you and you begin to lose consciousness, you see me reaching towards you with an outstretched hand, and you think, Paul, have you come to save me and offer some guidance and wisdom so I can make sense of all this? But no, I have no idea what any of this nonsense truly means. I'm just as lost as you, but at least we have each other, right? I think I'll have a beer.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by Kioxia's family of NVMe SSDs, featuring their latest BiCS 3D flash memory. The BG5 now supports PCIe 4.0 and is still available in the incredibly small M.2 2230 form factor, so it's a great fit for gaming PCs, laptops, and compatible handheld gaming devices. And for enterprise or hyperscale data center use, the CD7 and XD6 feature the new EDSFF, or Enterprise and Data Center Standard form factor, for ease of integration, while the CD7 supports PCIe Gen5 for maximum performance when paired with the latest AMD EPYC or Intel Xeon server hardware. For more on Kioxia SSDs, click the sponsor link in the video description. Got a Smog City Little Bow Pills. Smog City Little Bow Pills today. It's a Czech style lager, and cheers. Thanks to all you guys for joining me. Our tech news journey begins today with more rumors swirling in anticipation of NVIDIA's next-gen GPUs, based on architecture codenamed Ada Lovelace and manufactured on TSMC's N5 node. In recent weeks, further details about the new ATX 3.0 or PCIe Gen5 16-pin connector came to light, which can provide GPUs with up to 600 watts of power when paired with a compatible power supply. This led many to assume that the RTX 40 series would also support the PCI Express Gen 5 data connection standard, which is on the market already via Intel Alder Lake 12th Gen CPUs, and should also get support on the AMD side when the AM5 platform launches later this year. But no, says scurrilous Twitter leaker Kopite7Kimi, the 40 series will be Gen 4, despite NVIDIA talking up the bandwidth increases from Gen 5 back in March when they showed off the Hopper-based H100 for data centers. But while newer PCI Express standards like Gen 5 increase bandwidth, going up to 128 gigabytes per second of bidirectional bandwidth with Gen 5 versus 64 gigabytes per second on Gen 4, it would be reasonable to assume that NVIDIA sort of knows what they're doing when it comes to GPU design, and likely the 40 series GPUs simply don't need that extra bandwidth. It would be like doubling the lanes on your local superhighway from 6 to 12, even though the same amount of traffic is driving down it every day. The truly scandalous claims from Kopite came in a follow-up on Wednesday, claiming that the full AD102 GPU will feature 48 gigabytes of 24 gigabits per second GDDR6X VRAM, higher clock speeds, a 900 watt TGP or total graphics power, and of course, 2 of those 12 VH power 16-pin connectors to provide enough juice to run the damn thing. But we're still living in rumor town here, so note that none of this is confirmed, and in fact other sources have claimed that the next-gen GeForce RTX 4090 SKU will have a 600 watt TDP, which is marginally less absurd. The 900 watt claim seems to be based on the AD102 test boards having dual 16-pin connectors, so perhaps the 4090 will top out at 600 watts, and then a 4090 Ti or Titan class card might still push beyond that. Lesser cards were mentioned too, like the 4080, which could be AD103 based with 16 gigs of memory and a 350 watt TDP, and the 4070, which might use AD104 with 12 gigs and a 300 watt power envelope. Still no word on when in Q3 or Q4 the new series will launch, but Video Cards says they expect an announcement in September or October, with a launch sometime after that. Last week I masterfully lampooned AMD's chosen name for their new DDR5 memory settings, which as of January were set to be called Ryzen Accelerated Memory Profiles, or RAMPs, which were plainly inclined towards puns and light mockery. And while my simple machinations were not meant to force the issue, perhaps someone was listening, and perhaps that person had a time machine, as on Monday it was revealed that a trademark for a new naming scheme was filed back in February. AMD EXPO, or Extended Profiles for Overclocking, which provides much more heated competition for Intel's XMP profiles, both by including an X in the name this time around, which always makes it seem more badass, as well as showing similarly casual disregard for how acronyms work in order to shoehorn that X into place. Practically speaking, EXPO will be an alternative to Intel's XMP 3.0 profiles, and it will be able to store 2 sets of memory overclocking settings for DDR5 memory, with the first profile optimized for high bandwidth and the second optional profile optimized for low latency. Sounds reasonable, but my main complaint is that it's harder to make silly puns about. Like, maybe AMD could have a big convention to announce their DDR5 memory profiles, but announce it at the beginning of a book, so we could have an EXPO exposition. Yeah, see, it just doesn't work in quite the same way. It's too contrived. So RIP AMD ramp. I have to say I was a little sad to see that idea go downhill so quickly. No, it's a bad joke, Joe. So RIP AMD ramp. I have to say I was a little sad to see that idea go downhill so quickly. Speaking of the decline, it's not just the best punk song ever recorded, it's also an apt descriptor for what's happened to social discourse online over the past 10+ years. And somehow that ongoing discourse was not improved one bit by this week's hot topic of discussion. Elon Musk is apparently set to purchase Twitter for 44 billion cash US dollars, or $54.20 per share. Thankfully, everyone talking about this has been quite reasonable about the whole thing, taking time to hear out the opinions of others while making pointed fact-based commentary on nuanced topics such as the impact of social media on our daily lives, what truly constitutes free speech, and the implications that private ownership of such a broad-reaching platform might have. It's a good thing that so many of us abide by the cherished golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That might even be in the Bible somewhere. I'm just kidding, of course. The golden rule we abide by in 2022 is he who has the gold makes the rules, since we'd prefer to take advice from Disney villains, and at this point, Musk certainly has more gold than anyone else, by market cap at least. So regardless of how the Twitter buyout proceeds, the results from this week are clear. Nuanced takes be damned, your opinion on this topic can now be used to determine if you're on side A or side B of the great social divide, and that sure makes it easier to identify which normal everyday people you should hate and blame all the world's problems on. It's the ones that disagreed with you online, of course, because it's all definitely their fault, those other people, and not the ludicrously wealthy consortium of oligarchs who profit from our ongoing cultural disputes. They're actually the victims in all this, so you'd better hurry and rush to their defense in the comments section down below. Speaking of sketchy moves on social media, Twitch has some questionable moves planned according to a Bloomberg article published Wednesday. Anonymous staff members said Twitch intends to tweak their monetization model starting this summer, cutting streamers' revenue share from subs to 50%, down from 70% currently. That's a significant cut, especially for full-timers, although it could be tempered somewhat by Twitch lifting the exclusivity requirement for partners, so streamers can multi-stream and be live on other platforms like YouTube at the same time. Twitch might also push streamers to run more ads with cash incentives, which could make up for that lost revenue, but this time at the expense of regular viewers, who always love being forced to watch more ads. Twitch might also introduce various tiers of partnership with different rates and requirements, but note that all of these plans aren't finalized and could be abandoned, and I'd say most of them should be, except maybe lifting the streaming exclusivity requirement, lest fans and streamers start abandoning the platform themselves. Every so often, we are blessed with a brief moment of clarity, and if in that moment we also think about like a motherboard or something, then yes, that counts as a tech brief. And so do these. Intel seems to have caught wind of some of the Arc GPU criticisms levied against them of late, as in an earnings call Thursday, CEO Pat Danger Gelsinger reiterated that despite their mobile GPUs launching with a massive asterisk because there were only apparently like 13 or 14 units available for sale total and they were all in South Korea, their desktop Arc GPUs are still definitely launching in Q2. That means this month, May, or next month, June, for the launch of as many as 8 different desktop Arc Alchemist GPUs. Pat says they are on track, and we launched the mobile SKUs. We'll have the desktop SKUs coming in Q2. So going by their definition of the mobile SKU launch, I'm anticipating that there will be like 20 Arc GPU cards for sale on June 30th at 11:55 p.m., but only in, I don't know, some random computer store in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And Intel will claim it is a very successful launch, and more will be on the market soon, asterisk. MSI successfully hit a DDR5 overclocking world record this week, thanks to professional frequency manipulator Kovan Yang, who took a Kingston Fury Beast DDR5 DIMM up to 10,004 megatransfers per second, using an MSI Meg Z690 Unify X motherboard and a 12900KS CPU running at 425.68 megahertz. Yes, that's right, a 12th gen Alder Lake 12900KS, not even the K, the specifically binned for higher frequency KS, running slower than the stock speed of my AMD K6-2450 from 1999. But it's about the memory speed, so we'll give it to Yang there, but only for a moment, as his crown was quickly stolen away by none other than HiCookie, Gigabyte's in-house OCer, who took an Aorus RGB DDR5 stick up to 5011 megahertz, or 10,022 megatransfers per second, embarrassing the MSI team with a whole additional 18 megatransfers per second, as well as a slightly less silly CPU frequency of 2087.9 megahertz on their 12900K. HiCookie used a Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Tachyon motherboard for the feat, and he tightened up those timings a little bit as well. The Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT group could do with some tightening up of their security, as their Instagram and Discord accounts were hacked on Monday, which led to a theft of, we'll call them, assets, to be generous. The hacker or hackers used the compromised accounts to drop fake links to a supposed new round of NFT minting, and those who clicked the links had their wallets compromised, and NFTs and cryptocurrency were lost. Close to 100 NFTs, apes, and others vanished, and the owners fancied that they were worth about $13.7 million. Kinda like this piece of paper. This piece of paper is worth $13.7 million, I say. It's a special orange post-it, and I will be taking bids on it soon. I'm starting a new series of NFPs, non-fungible paper. Get in on the ground floor now by giving me money. Now I might give NFT bros a hard time, but I've definitely never taken things this far. Cloudflare said Thursday that they mitigated one of the largest DDoS attacks ever against one of their clients earlier in April. The client was operating a crypto launchpad but has not been disclosed, so it's hard to say why the attack took place, but the numbers are impressive. Requests peaked at 15.3 million per second, less than the record of 17.2 million per second, but also note that they were using HTTPS requests instead of HTTP, which takes a bit more effort. 6,000 bots attacked from 112 different countries, and many came from data centers this time around, which also indicates a shift in approach from previous botnet configurations. Ultimately, the attack only lasted 15 seconds, but the botnet said they were just feeling nervous and it's never happened that quickly before. Researchers in Japan have recently developed a new method for manufacturing ultra-high purity diamond wafers that can be used for quantum storage, allowing them to theoretically store 25 exabytes of data, or as much as 25 billion single-layer Blu-ray discs on a diamond wafer measuring 5 centimeters or 2 inches in diameter. They call the wafer a Kenzen diamond, and they actually hope to make a commercial product based on it in 2023. No word on read or write speeds though, or how long a full format might take. Finally, a quick update on the James Webb Space Telescope, which launched back in December 2021. The alignment phase is now complete, and NASA says it can now capture crisp, well-focused images with all 4 of its science instruments. This is part of the multi-stage process that has been underway since launch, with the next phase being instrument commissioning, where the specialized characteristics of onboard detector lenses, masks, filters, and customized equipment are calibrated. That phase should take roughly 2 months, and after that, the schedule is on track for full operation in June, at which point, from my understanding, we'll probably finally see aliens. What a time to be alive. But there you have it, guys. Tech news for the week. And if you liked it, here's a friendly reminder to click that like button and let me know. Your feedback is always welcome too, so please feel free to leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all the articles I talked about today are linked in the description if you're interested. And don't forget to check out my store at paulshardware.net for high quality merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies, beer sets, and more. Subscribing would be a great idea too if you enjoy my videos. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you all next week.